2 months ago, we were able to do over $200,000 in a single day. And a couple months before that, we were able to do over $1 million in just 12 hours. Now, the crazy part is both of these brands, we were able to do over 40% profit margins, which means, yes, out of that $1 million, $400,000 was profit, which is absolutely unheard of, especially if you're drop shipping. Now, these numbers were made possible through something that's been around for the last 2 to 3 decades, and it's actually called the product drop method. Essentially, what the product drop method is when you take a pre-existing product, majority of times it's a bestseller, and you create an iteration of that, and then you push it to that pre-existing audience. And the best way to do this is through your email list. In 2025, having an email list is probably the most important thing, because TikTok can go away, Instagram can go away, you can lose everything, you could get banned, but you cannot lose your email list. Now, this product drop method has been revolutionized by the fashion industry. You see a lot of brands like Represent, Cortez doing it on a monthly basis, but truthfully, this works with every sort of industry imaginable. We've literally sold out of printers from a printer company. Yes, $2,000 printers have sold out just by using this exact same method. Now, luckily for you, you probably don't sell printers, so this should be a lot easier for you. In today's video, I'm going to cover exactly step-by-step how to do this. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, and you don't need to have over 1 million followers for this. We've done this for brands that have had less than 5,000 followers on their social media page, but they've had a super dialed in list, which what matters in this day and age. You need to have customers that are loyal to you and your brand, and there's a specific way for you to build that. Let's get into it. Why use product drops? First, it builds brand loyalty, and it creates a community of loyal customers who are eager to get their hands on your exclusive products. Second, it increases the revenue of your brand. Drops create a sense of urgency. You release new products. Of course, customers are going to want this. For example, Black Friday, you dish out discounts, and that's a prime example of how good this does. Third, which to me I think is the most important, it's extremely scalable. Right now we're averaging anywhere from 2 to 8 drops per month for select brands that we work with. Sometimes people can only do 1 per month, or you can do 8 per month. It really depends on you and how your timeline works, but imagine each drop is doing anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 per drop. That's a lot of money, and more importantly, a lot of profit. And lastly, it increases the customer engagement. I can't tell you the last time I've seen an email that has truly engaged with the customer, aside from a launch or aside from a specific collection for that particular ideal customer profile. At the end of the day, it's 2025. You need to understand that, hey, you can't just dish out discounts every single email. And more importantly, you can't just dish out random basic information that you just write up on ChatGPT. It needs to be dialed into your ICP and what that stands for your brand. You need to realize who you identify as. I'm talking about your brand, your business. What does it identify as? Is it a drop-only store, or is it a evergreen store? Both are completely fine. Both have many pros, both have many cons. Let's get into it. Drop-only stores, prime examples are Supreme, Cortez, right? These are brands that are absolutely crushing it. Their site is closed year-round. They only release a select time of the year, and their hopes are, or their goals are, to essentially sell out of that product. What that's going to do is create an immense amount of hype on the secondary market and give your brand even more recognition than you essentially got in the first place. Cons of that, you only got one shot. So if you're open for 1 week, you got to do your month's revenue in that 1 week. Some people like it because they have like a little bit of a hiatus the week after and the months after, but other people don't because there's not that consistent cash flow coming in. That's option 1. Option 2, evergreen stores with the hybrid model, right? These are brands that are like Represent, Gymshark. Those are companies that essentially will have their site open year-round, 24/7. You can come on, buy their bestsellers, but then they also have a locked version of their site, or a portion of their site that customers cannot access, and they will only release at a certain time and date, essentially giving you the best of both worlds. For me personally, I like this option because it has that consistent cash flow. It doesn't have that necessary hype factor that you would with a drop-only store, but it still has enough to the point where it makes sense for you to do it and be able to still scale afterward. And the best thing is, once you validate a product on this launch with this hybrid model, you're able to run ads to it, and it could potentially turn into one of your best sellers, which we've done tens of times over. Now, when it comes to releasing and launching for both of these types of stores, both evergreen and hybrid and drop only, it's all the same way. the process in which you're collecting contacts is the same way. You're going to have a dedicated sign-up form, right? It'll look something like this. And in that sign-up form, it's going to be asking two very important questions, your email and your phone number. Those two important things is what's going to lead you to a very successful launch. Because if you don't collect these two things, you don't even have contacts to send emails to, right? So for the drop-only store, you want to have that as your password lock page. And for the hybrid store, you want to have that as a hidden page that you only drive traffic to on socials. Some people even run ads to it, but majority of the time socials is what's going to grow that list. And you might be thinking, what about the people that are already on your customer list? Those are people that you're going to be using a part of this launch as well too, but those aren't necessarily new customers. Those are going to be previous customers. So if you're doing a good enough job already, those people should already be engaged. Great. Now you understand the job model. Now you understand, okay, which type of brand am I? Okay, I'm, say, a hybrid model brand. Okay, cool. Now that you understand this, how do you know what to launch? Like, how do you know if the product that you launch is even going to do good? How are you going to go there, design a product from scratch that you're going to then go ahead and order 10,000 units of and hope it sells out just because of the strategy? No, you need to manufacture this hype. You think this is all like natural hype? No, this is all fabricated. Remember, at the end of the day, the whole goal is to make sure you're able to have a successful launch by having a very tapped in community, in a very in-tune community. So the only way you're gonna get that is if you directly reach out and ask your customers what they want. For example, me, I love Represent. I have probably like 4 of these hoodies, right? If Represent sends me an email, a very simple email, right? And it lands in my inbox and I open it. If they send me an email asking me, hey, Umar, we want you to choose which one of these 4 hoodies do you want us to release next? And I give my opinion and they end up releasing that hoodie. Do you think I'm going to buy that hoodie or not? 90% of the time, I'm going to buy that hoodie. If I've gone ahead and went into that email, clicked on that email, submitted my answer, right? And said, damn, that's crazy. They're asking me for my opinion. And then they end up releasing it and I see it, I'm gonna go ahead and buy the hoodie. We've done this over multiple case studies, multiple brands, and it works like a charm. How do you find a product for you to release? You take an iteration of your best-selling product, right? Say it's this phone case, right? So this phone case, I'm gonna go ahead and create a poll. Before all this, I'm gonna speak to my factory and ask them, hey, can you guys make iterations of this product? Say I wanna release this gray phone case in blue, orange, and yellow, right? They'll say, yeah, we can do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a product render, very cheap, guys on Fiverr, 50 bucks, and they do really good work. And then put those renders into a poll and send it out to your tens of thousands of customers. If you don't have tens of thousands, send it out to thousands, it doesn't matter. Send it out to your customers and ask them for their opinion. Hey, which one of these 3 do you want us to release? And they'll give their opinion. And whichever one's the highest performing one, meaning say 50% of customers voted for blue, you're gonna release blue. It's a given. Then the next drop after that, what are you gonna release? The second best product. Then the third best product, because you wanna be able to release all of the products and essentially give a taste to everyone that voted. You never wanna leave anyone out. You wanna make sure every single one of your customers is heard for. Think of it like you're the president, right? Whatever you ask them and they give you, you need to listen to them because they're your customers. They're the ones that are paying you. Now, this is a very important thing. You don't want to send to just everyone on the list. You want to send to specifically buyers, customers that have already bought from you because you already validated that, hey, this customer has spent money with me, probably going to spend more money with me. I just need to ask them what they want. Great. Now that you've got to this point, dun, 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 how do you build hype? Building hype is something even to this day we're still trying to crack because it's never one way to do it. There's always different ways for you to build that hype, whether it's using influencers, whether it's using your own customer list, whether it's running lead generation ads. There's no one way to do it, but the simplest way to do it is setting that launch date and then across all your platforms. Say I'm releasing something on January 15th, right? On January 15th, I'm gonna start reaching out to my customers at least 10 to 14 days prior to that, letting them know, hey, this release is happening on this day, this time, this many units, this is what's gonna happen once it's sold out. You wanna be very hyper specific. This is what the product is. And you have 14 days to let those customers know. So roughly around 6 to 7 emails, maybe 2 to 3 texts. You have a lot of room for you to explain what your new product is going to be. In that time, don't just regurgitate the same old stuff. You wanna make sure that you're informing them of new things and making sure that your product doesn't contradict your current best-selling products because you never wanna do that. Essentially, you have 14 days to hype up this product. Send out an email every other day. day, right? The substance of the emails will follow something like this format, very simple to the point, right? If you're a more complicated product, obviously you need to give more insight and details on that product in the emails. By the way, if you've gotten to this point and you're like extremely hyped and you're like, holy shit, why haven't I done this? Or, you know, this is something that I need to implement in my business right now, then you might want to consider doing a second look and making sure that you have all the fundamentals set up. Because there's been a lot of times where we get on brands, we do audits. This year alone, I've done well over 350 audits, just looking at my previous numbers. And I'd say about a quarter of those, the brands don't even have their fundamentals set up. They don't even have their basic automations like welcome series or browse abandonment, site abandonment, cart abandonment, your abandoned checkout, the thing that's literally there in place to reduce the amount of abandoned carts that you have. You don't have that in place and you want to do drops? No. You need to make sure that your fundamentals are set up, right? Whether your in-house team sets that up, whether you hire agency, whatever the case is, this can't work if you don't have your basics set up. And I'm telling you, the basics are so basic. You can even have the generic Klaviyo flows that they give you, set those up, at least have those, because I guarantee you, once you have a huge influx of these customers coming in and whether they're purchasing or not, or window shopping, whatever the case is, you want to be able to capture these people and retarget them once they're not interested anymore. So you need to have the fundamentals in place. If you don't have them in place, hit me up. But yeah, regardless, it doesn't need to be a crazy robust system. It just needs to be something to capture those leads once again. And if you have no idea what that is, here's a list of all the flows that you would need, and here's the reason to why you would need those flows. Take a second, take a screenshot, understand them. So now going back to the product drop method, this is the exact timeline that we usually follow. Sometimes it's +- 1 days. We honestly create a lot of our things very specific to the brand, but borderline, you can follow this template and this is going to work as well too. Some people like to do early access as well too, which is like 30 minutes prior to the launch, where you sort of give a little teaser to all those people that signed up. You can do that. We do it to this day with early access and without early access. Some brands it works really well, some brands it doesn't. Typically the drop only brands do really good with early access. So if you're a drop only brand, probably want to use some early access. This is what a very simple email is going to look like in terms of plain text, but this is also what a lot of design-based emails look like. Once again, this is your brand. You want it to be custom to your brand and you want it to follow your pattern. And if you know something works really good with your brand, you probably want to follow that same branding and imaging. You don't want to copy another brand's branding. And boom, now it gets to January 15th, brand launches. That's it, right? Nope. This is what majority of brands fail to realize. You can't stop at the launch date. The launch date is honestly just the beginning. That's like literally right when it starts. It's the lead up, that's the peak, and then you need to hold it, and then it slowly goes down. But yeah, you need to make sure that you have emails going out on that day, texts going out on that day, sometimes multiple emails and multiple texts. If the traction is going really good, then obviously keep on riding that wave, but more importantly, the follow-ups, right? Once you release a product and it did good, you'd be an idiot not to follow up with those customers and say, hey, you know, by the way, we only have 200 units left. By the way, we only have 100 unit left. And then if it sells out, hey, by the way, we just sold out of this, boo-hoo, good luck next time. So that essentially that pinnacle point right there is going to set you up for success for your next launch. So that is very important. That's like 30% of post-drop stuff, just following up and letting customers know that, hey, this is what's happening. And then that's it. You rinse and repeat this. And you do this for us, some brands, we work with the cosmetic brands because their manufacturer is able to allow it. We're able to do 2 to 3 launches per month. Here's an example of all those results. Then there are other times where we're working with hybrid brands, and you know, it might be a men's accessory brand where they sell wallets and different things like that. And we can only really release a product maybe once every 3 months or 4 months, right? But those also do numbers like this. So figure out what your brand is. And if you don't have a brand, I just gave you the step-by-step on how to do this, right? So it shouldn't be too difficult for you to get a little bit of traction going. And more importantly, if you are a smaller brand that's doing less than 10,000 per month, we've taken brands that have been doing less than 4 to 5K a month, literally less than like $100 a day, to do well over $400,000, $500,000 in a single day for their launch. Yeah, of course, they're many, many months apart, but it's the point of taking them from here to here within a relatively short amount of time. So never lose hope. Always make sure and understand that, hey, you're the one that's truly responsible of this. You're gonna be the reason why your life changes. And if you just go ahead and take information with a grain of salt and it goes through one ear and out the other, then can't really complain. If you followed everything that I've said in this video, there's no doubt that your next product launch won't be somewhat successful. I've given the exact blueprint that the biggest brands in the world use, and they sell out every single drop with that. However, mastering product drops is just one part of the equation. You still need to become an expert at building hype, managing customer expectations, and optimizing your email and SMS strategies. Trying to figure all of this out on your own can lead to a lot of wasted time and, most importantly, missed opportunities. Trust me, I've been there. It took me well over 4 years, going on to 5 years now, and countless hours of trial and error, and even to this day, millions of dollars in mistakes to perfect these strategies. Now, if you want to skip all of the headaches and fast track your way to this product drop mastery, click the first link in the description. You can work directly with me and my team and turn your next drop into a sold out success. Let's get you on the path to boosting your brand's revenue and crushing your email campaigns within the next 30 days. See you in the next one.